and welcome to another episode of Getting to Know the Authors of Rising Relentlessly. I am so excited, probably a little extra excited, to be with my friend Missy, who chose to say yes to her story. Missy and I have been friends for quite a while, probably about 8, 9 years at this point, and I'm just really excited to sit in the space with her and share her with all of you while she tells us about her journey to finishing her chapter in this amazing book. Everything's turned in, all the author bios, the chapter, the photos, it's all done. And now she just gets to relish in celebrating herself. And so, Missy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Missy Snyder, and I'm just happy to be in this space with Rachelle as well. Love spending time with you and excited to get this next part of this chapter over with.
Yes, it's a very nerve-wracking experience. You know, it's one thing to write your words and put it down on paper and have somebody edit it, but this is a little bit more vulnerable. This is you showing up and being seen, and that's a really scary space for a lot of people. So, well, we'll just get started. What made you say yes to yourself? What inspired you to share your story in this anthology?
Just mainly to use my voice. I haven't had that, so it's nice to be able to share different things with people about myself and what has helped me through with a lot of things, and just letting people know it's okay to seek out other options. You know, if you have issues going on and you go to the doctor and they want you to try stuff, you know, there's other options. You can get out there and do your own research and speak up for yourself. So,
I love that. And I can't wait for people to read about how you did that for yourself and for your beautiful daughter. I'm so looking forward to reading your chapter. Before writing, though, what fears or hesitations did you have about telling your story publicly?
uh, just more so wondering what people would think. I mean, I'm sure that's probably a big part of a lot of people's, but it's been nice being going through a healing process with all of this as well, because it's just helped me realize that a lot of those fears are just traumas, basically trying to come out. And so this has helped me a lot with getting over a lot of those things too. So
I love that. Yeah, writing is super cathartic, especially if you're doing it with other people. And I know we'll get into that in a moment, but it's for a lot of us that have so much trauma, you just learn to survive. And then when you sit with yourself and you start writing about it, you tell the story to yourself first. And that's a really hard space. It's one thing to be like, oh, what are people going to think? And da da da. But what do you think about yourself? You
right.
know? Yeah. How did the writing process surprise you? I know you went in, you've never done anything like this before. What about it surprised you?
Um, well, honestly, at first it was more trying to figure out how I was going to do it all, but through, you know, talking with you guys, it's helped because I have an editor this time. So I have somebody to do all those hard things for me. I just had to put it on paper and allow them to work with me to put it all in place. So it was surprisingly easier than I expected it to be once it started. That part of it, anyway.
Well, I love that because I
Mhm.
hope, like, one of the things I always tell people, and I was on a call with another future author yesterday. I told her, you just need to show up with us. You know, with Wildly Free, just show up, do the writing, and we'll do the rest. And I think that oftentimes people have a different experience where they don't get that level of support. And I know from the very beginning when we first started writing that first book, Rooted to
Mhm.
Rise, it was super important to us to just give people permission to just show up authentically themselves. They didn't have to be professional writers or anything. And quite honestly, those are the stories that kind of bore me
Right.
because they feel a little too polished. So,
Mhm.
with that, what part of your story was the hardest to write and why? And you don't have to go into like huge details because we want some of this to be a secret. But what kind of nuggets would you like to share about the hardest part of writing your story or the hardest part of your story?
Uh, I would have to say just trying to, I know this is another part of some of the things that we're going to touch on, but um, just to kind of um, put what I wanted to say out there in just a chapter and not a whole book per se. So just trying to figure out um, what parts that I should put in there while still dealing with things going on in my life and wanting to focus on a certain thing, whereas this is more so of how the plant obviously has affected my life in many different ways. So it was kind of hard to just narrow it down to certain little pieces of it.
Yeah, that's super common. And what I hear, one of the other authors said, I'm just getting started. Like,
Right.
this is just a
Yes.
taste, not only to give out to the world, but a taste for yourself. And I think that writing kind of becomes so cathartic that it becomes addictive in your healing journey of I can keep writing, I can keep writing, and giving yourself that constant permission of, well, for this part of my healing, I want to write about this part. With this, I want to write about this part. And I just, people don't really stop at anthologies. I know I didn't. I went from
Right.
anthology to becoming a publisher. So clearly, there's that rooted feeling to once we've done it once. I'm not going to say it becomes easier because it doesn't, but
Right.
it becomes more acceptable within our hearts and acceptable in our souls. And we give ourselves permission to just keep going, regardless of the discomfort or the fear or any of that. Is that something that you can relate to?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like you said, not so much easier, but it felt like I guess it kind of just flowed a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it is hard to get all of it in 3 to 5,000 words because, so much of the process is just getting it all down. And that's why we're like, just get it all down. And our editors, I mean, James and Ashley Elizabeth are just crazy amazing when it comes to the editing. And I
they
can say
really
that
are.
from a personal standpoint because, when I was doing my memoir right there, um, expiration date unknown, there was so much that because I was in it, I didn't write it just for the reader. And so then they're the first ones that get to read it. And they're so just like heart centered, invested in it. So they're
Right.
not just reading for errors. They're not just reading for spelling, punctuation, whatever. They're in it with you. Is that
Right.
something that you felt with them?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
I almost wish I was a part of the editing process because I feel like that's really where the relationship builds.
Yeah.
They're just so amazing. So, with that, was there a moment during the writing when something clicked or shifted for you personally? Like, this is a very personal journey. Do you share with us any takeaways that happen on a personal level?
Um, I would have to say, just the fact that, kind of like I said before, that this has all been scary, just putting it out there, but giving myself permission, like you said, I feel like having the conversation with you through the process, um, about just things that other people have noticed about me, like stuff that I wouldn't even dream that somebody would still remember from years ago. And just, just the whole process, being able to share unapologetically. So,
I remember one of the first brave moments you had was on a call that we were a part of, and you shared your story without any hesitation. I mean, you just jumped in there, and I knew at that moment that that was kind of a pivotal moment for you. Would you agree with that? And so
yeah,
many of us remember being in that space and like celebrating your brave. And now we get to celebrate even more brave moments, this one included. So it's just been such a neat process to be with you.
yeah.
How do you think that the support of like writing within an anthology, you're in a community. How do you feel like the support of like the Wildly Free team, the support of like the community of the other authors, how did that support you and just kind of give you that oomph through the process?
That's definitely helped. I mean, obviously, it's much easier doing stuff with other people rather than being alone. So having that space to just be able to bounce the scared and the excited and all of that off of each other was definitely awesome. And then, having that space again to where you guys help with different questions, kind of as far as the prompts go, kind of having a guideline helped a lot with me. I'm kind of all over the place when it goes to stuff like that. So it was definitely helpful having some of those things, not to follow exactly, but just to have, a guideline, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important for us to truly be supportive, not just like, okay, here you go, figure it
Right.
out. Because for
Yep.
most people, this is their first time, and we've all had a first time. And so
Right.
we knew like what was needed, what wasn't needed. And even like from Rooted to Rise, we improved with Rising Relentlessly, and now we're gonna improve for the next book,
Yep.
and knowing that like we all give each other space to learn. Nobody's perfect. Nobody knows how to do it perfectly. And so I'm so grateful that all of you guys gave us space while we're still learning how to do it, while we gave you space while you're learning how to do your
Right.
part. And so
Yep.
that was really neat. What did you learn about yourself by writing this chapter?
Uh, I would have to say, kind of to touch back on that, the more we do things, obviously, the easier it gets. So I would have to say, like, just being able to use my voice more, and just being brave.
Yeah. And you already led yourself into that.
Yep.
Oh, right. What do you hope readers will take away from your chapter?
Um, I would have to say, kind of like I said at the beginning, just that we all have a voice. It's not an end all be all just because somebody with a degree said that it's so. Um, that we have to have our own voice and fight for ourselves and our children and our animals when it comes to, you know, um, the medical aspect of it, I guess. But it also helps with so many things. That,
Exactly.
that's what
I
I hope.
think as a society, we're leaning further and further away from authority and we're gaining empowerment. And really that's, I say this all the time. We don't read like the chapters weren't even written when we came up with the title Rising Relentlessly. And what we did was we spent space with each other, little nuggets of like, what are you going to write about? What do you want to write about? Da, da, da. And a lot of times that shifted. But at the point of like, this is what I'm coming into wanting to write, the central theme was all of you guys rising relentlessly. Like, there's just this like different, there was a certain energy for like Rooted to Rise. That was kind of like that foundation of like the roots starting within the soil. And then with Rising Relentlessly, it was you guys coming out, like just like plants. It bursts through the soil. It's being seen more because you
Right.
can't see when it's like, down in the bottom. And that was really kind of the theme that we got from all of you was just that you're showing up and you're rising relentlessly. You've been rising relentlessly and you continue to give people permission for them to rise relentlessly. It's kind of a tongue twister of a title, but it has so much power in those words. And they were so intentionally put in there to really give people an introduction to what am I going to open the book up to and read. And so
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Um, what uh, was it like to be, you know, thinking about writing your own book by yourself? That's like, oh, that's a lot of writing. What did it feel like to be, I know you touched on it a little bit, but what did it feel like to start your writing journey with other people? And what would you tell other people who are considering maybe starting off in an anthology or a writing circle or something like that?
Uh, I would have to say it's a good starting point. It was a little tricky for me just because I have so much going on right now, and I kept feeling as though like my story's not over, so how can I write it? Like I'm still in the middle of it, and so it was hard to, like I said, kind of focus on, just little bits here and there that kind of revolved around the plant and that where I have other things that I want to write. So it was kind of hard to stop my mind from wanting to go to that. And so that was where it was kind of tricky as far as that goes.
Yeah, we're writing our story every minute, every hour, every day,
Yep.
and having that laser focus. I even like after I wrote my memoir, I was like, oh, I should have put that in there. Oh, I should have put that in there. But that's what's so cool about writing is you don't need to ask permission to add the details somewhere else. And maybe as you were writing this chapter, you know, it's going to give people that deeper connection to whatever you did write because sometimes we don't need as many details or as many stories to truly make the point that we're trying to make. So,
Right.
with that, what would you tell somebody that is just kind of on the fence of should I invest, not only like your heart, your money, your time, your everything? What would you tell somebody who's like, I don't know if this is for me? Because what I hear a lot is my story doesn't matter. Well, of course it matters. But going that next step and being a part of a book and becoming an author, what would you tell somebody who's just feeling the way that you did last year at this time?
It's definitely scary. And when I say hard, I don't mean like hard as in like I didn't have help and you guys all backing me and everything. But hard emotionally, obviously, it brings up all kinds of stuff. But I definitely think it's worth it. It's worth all of the time and the money, and especially with you guys, you made it so much more easy. I would imagine, I mean, I've never done it before, but I've heard some stories now going through this that it's not always the greatest, but I really think that you definitely should because we all have a story, and as much as we think we're the only ones that feel and think this way, there's so many other people out there that are going through a lot of the same things that you might be. So them reading about your story is definitely going to help them.
I love that. Yeah. And you're such a voice of authority now of that, right? I love that too. You're getting a new title. You already have a new title. So
Yep.
you shared with me before we got started that your chapter kind of started around the teenage years, what have you. And what would you tell Missy in her teens from Missy now? What would you tell her? And it literally can be anything.
Ugh. Uh, it's scary, but um, as long as you stay true to your beliefs, um, you're really all that matters.
I love that. That was a beautiful way of loving younger Missy. So thank you for that. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Um, Time with these authors is my favorite thing, and Missy is so special to me. And I look forward to you guys reading her story. We're going to have provided for you ways that you can reach out to her in the podcast, and she's just an amazing person. So I highly encourage you reach out to her for sure. And she's just a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience. And so, with that, thank you, Missy, for being brave and doing your very first podcast. And we look forward to reading your chapter, and I can't wait for you guys to let us know what you think. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.